My name is Aaron Hoover, and you are.
My name is Marie.
So, why are you here today, Marie?
Well, lately it's gotten kind of hard for me to, this might sound stupid, it's gotten hard for me to drive. Um, just getting into a car and going out into the road just makes me feel really anxious. I'm, I'm nervous. I don't want to do it. I don't, I don't know what's wrong. I feel like it should be an easy thing to do, and I don't know. I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, is there any way that you've been able to cope with it, or what has helped you get this far? I see you work in maintenance.
Yeah, I do. Again, it involves driving, which is hard, but, um, but I mean, what I've tried to do ever since I've gotten my license, I'm 23, so I've had my license for 7 years, if I'm doing the math right. And it all goes back to when I first started driving, and my uncle would take me driving, and anytime we would be together, he he would say at a stop sign, "Stop, look both ways, and proceed with caution." So I don't know. I guess I've just kind of hung on to that the last 7 years, and I feel like I have to repeat that to myself every time I get out on the road and I come to an intersection or something. But it hasn't, it helps temporarily, but then anytime I have to go out and drive somewhere again, it just, that overwhelming feeling of nervousness just takes over and I don't know what to do about it.
So you're saying that what has helped you for the past few years is you remember what your uncle says, the phrase look both ways and proceed with caution.
Hmm.
So was there anything that you can think of that may help that become more than temporary, another form of coping mechanism?
Well, um, I found that I'm more nervous when I'm by myself. So, or not by myself, when I'm with other people. So if I'm driving and there's someone else in the car with me, um, especially if it's a friend or someone I'm really close to. So, I mean, if there was a solution so that I wouldn't be as nervous, like I wasn't putting them in danger so much, then I would do it. I mean, anytime I get into a car, I like to do like triple safety checks. Like I check my ears, I'll do my seatbelt, I make sure everyone else in the car is belted, and I always go like below the speed limit, um, which usually pisses off other drivers, but it's okay. I don't know. I wish there was a way I could get rid of this nervousness that I'm going to kill somebody or that someone is going to get hurt in a car. It's not really me I'm afraid of. It's more, um, I'm more afraid of like being on a road and the person on the other side, you know, is drunk or something, and they cross the median and they hit us head on, and the person in my car, like my family member, it could be my brother or sister, they die. So I feel like that would be my fault, and I think about that every time I'm in a car with them.
Is there an instance where that might have happened, that there might have been the cause the onset of the problem?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, I said I've worried about driving since I was 16, but it actually started before that when I was around, I think I was 8 years old, and I was with my parents, and um, one day we were all in the car. They were in the front seat, I was in the back seat, and we were going down the road. It was pretty late at night. We were coming back from a relative's house, and there was actually what I just described to you. A driver on the other side of the road was drunk and ended up swerving onto our side of the road and hitting us. And luckily, no one got hurt really badly. I mean, my dad was in the hospital for about 3 weeks or so. So, I mean, it was pretty serious, but I just hear about all the deaths caused by drunk drivers every year or even every day, and I'm scared that that could be me or worse, one of my family members, and it'd be my fault for not being careful enough.
Right? And so, let's talk more solutions. So you found that it all helps when you remember what your uncle said.
Mm-hmm. He was the one who taught me my driving. I was scared to put my mom and dad out on the road again.
And is there anything else that you can think of that's ever helped?
Well, I mean, one thing I tend to do when I know I'm going to be with someone is I try to make them drive, especially if they are, especially if we're going out of town or somewhere familiar. If I do end up having to drive, I'll take the back roads where there's going to be less traffic and less chance of getting hit by a drunk driver. Because so yeah, just if it's an unfamiliar territory, or if I'm going to be with someone else and they don't mind driving, then I will do whatever I can to make them drive.
Okay, so you're saying that what you'll do when when you have to go out, you'll do whatever you can to not have to drive.
I mean, in all honesty, if I could afford it, I would probably, or if I had that much change on me, I would take public transportation. But I also don't like being around that many people in a cramped space.
Okay. So for some homework, maybe try to drive more and or try and find other ways to cope with it.
Do you have an example? So I've tried everything. I feel like I've had other people drive. I've tried to, remember what my uncle told me. I thought about even taking driver's ed again, so I'd learn how to be a better defensive driver, but I just haven't had the time.
So could you try and find ways to slowly start with driving with people, then drive alone, then slowly try to find a pattern that helps with driving to get more comfortable both you driving and driving with other people.
I mean, I guess I could. I could try that. It won't happen right away.
And know that if you ever need to come back, you can. Now, as far as far as your fear of driving, you had said that was due to almost being hit by, being hit by a drunk driver when you were 8 years old, and then it hurting your family.
Well, I guess the scariest thing about driving, like I said, I don't want to hurt my family, but the scariest part is that they say that your behavior controls, like your attitude is what determines how good of a driver you are. That's a lie, I feel like. I mean, there are so many outside factors. Like I said, I mean, drunk drivers are just part of it. You can have a tree branch fall on you, you could get hit by a deer. I mean, I don't like that lack of control that you have while you're driving. Yeah, you control your own car, but you can't control all everything else around you.
Okay, and so when does this typically start? Is it like right when you come out the door, when you get in the car, when you buckle your seatbelt?
Well, getting in the car, as I'm walking from my front door or out my garage to the car, I'm fine. It's really when I pull off of my street onto the highway, because my house is actually, I live in a small subdivision right off a major highway. Um, so there's constantly traffic going on there, and it's really bad in the mornings when I'm trying to get to work, and in the evenings when I'm actually coming home from work, I'm in the traffic hour or the rush hour jam. So I find that it's like as I pull up to the stoplight there, and I'm trying to brace myself to make the turn to get onto the highway. That's when that sense of anxiety really comes over me. I mean, it's worse when I'm with other people doing when I'm by myself. Um, I get nervous. Like, what if the person who's on the other side of the intersection decides at the last minute that he or she's not going to turn, and so they decide to go straight, and they end up like T-boning me or something. So, um, or if a semi runs the red light, and just I wasted it. The stoplights and intersections scare the crap out of me.
So have you ever found a way that you don't, that makes you less anxious at just driving in general? Is, apart from what your uncle says, is there anything else that has helped you think that I'm not going to be hit by a drunk driver?
Well, I guess one thing that kind of gives me some sense of relief is that when I'm driving, I don't really drive very late at night because they're going drunk drivers tend to be out on the roads more between like midnight and 6 a.m. or something. I think is what the national statistics are or something. So the fact that I'm out in daylight makes me feel a little bit better that I'm not going to get hit by a drunk driver because I can see everything. I mean, at night you don't know; it could be like they hit you right on, and you may not have time to react because you don't see what's you didn't see it coming. Whereas in the daytime you do. So I try to daytime's easier. I try to coax myself into thinking it's gonna be okay. Um, I guess another thing I do is that when I get to a stoplight and I'm turning onto the highway, is once the light turns green, I wait there for an extra 5 seconds or so to make sure that no one else is going to be going through the intersection. So maybe I did learn some stuff in my driver's ed class back when I was 15, 16, getting my license.
Right? So, do you often do you try to improve that? Is that one of your main coping mechanisms apart from what your uncle says?
Improve upon my
Fear of driving. If you're anxious, and from what I can tell, you really dislike driving at night.
yeah nighttime in traffic are big no's to me. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I will avoid going out places on weekends or Friday nights or something with my friends because I'm scared of the weight of the drive home. But yeah, I guess I just every once in a while I kept my driver's ed book from when I took it back when I was 15. I had my permit. I kept that little booklet that they give you, and every once in a while I'll take a look at it and see like the little tips they have that you can do to avoid being in a wreck or something at nighttime. Slowing down, especially if it's raining or something, and then making sure that your headlights are working. And, just little things like that.
And so, can you think of any new things that you can use to hopefully realize that that there aren't going to always be a drunk driver looking that may hit you, that the road is safer. So, driving in rush hour is there something different that helps you?
I mean, I guess, yeah, my family did get hit by a drunk driver once, but I guess one thing that kind of makes me feel a little better is that, um, I haven't gotten hit again. So I feel like my chances are pretty good. Um, they say so many people get hit by drunk drivers every day or every year, but then there's so many people who don't. So, yeah. I don't know if I'd say there's anything really specific during rush hour. I mean, during rush hour, I just try to do, basic um, driving safety things. Where I won't tailgate the person in front of me. I'll try to take extra time at the stoplights to slow down and look around, look both ways, and make sure no one's, coming toward me. So, I mean, I guess it's just one thing I need to improve upon is my defensive driving overall. I guess I can, if I work hard enough, I'm sure I could have more control over how I drive and what happens.
Okay. So, for some homework, I would like you to, like you said, try and drive more defensively. And if possible, try and drive closer tonight, just to see if you can get less anxious about that. And I believe if that works, then it should make it easier for you to drive during the day. So I will see you next week. Is that good? See you
I
then.
think so. Thank you, sir. You're